Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are finally going to be taking a look at this, which is the NECA Friday the 13th Part 3D Ultimate Jason Voorhees reissue. So yes, this is the reissue version, which basically means it's improved from the original version. Now, I will go over all of the differences during this video that I know of. If I've missed any, I do apologize, but there are quite a few significant differences between this and the original. So taking a look at the packaging, you've got that awesome lenticular cover, which you do tend to get on the DVDs and the Blu-rays of this film. On the side, you've got a very nice poster of Jason. Same on the other side. Then on the back, you've got some nice images of the original version of the figure, which I'll get onto in a moment. Then you have the title here, Friday the 13th 3D with the drip of blood. Love that. And then you've got this really nice diorama. I'm not sure if it's an actual diorama or if it's just computer, but it does include one of the accessories there, which is very, very cool. And it's very well done. On the bottom, you've just got all the legal stuff, and on the top, the title again. So, an idyllic summer turns into a nightmare of unspeakable horror for yet another group of naive co-eds ignoring Camp Crystal Lake's bloody legacy. One by one, they fall victim to the maniacal Jason, who stalks them at every turn. You'll have to apologise for my dyslexia, guys. So opening up, you have this very nice image of the figure in a very nice viewing window, and then a publicity image of the original version. Now, I'm just going to say, can you guys see the difference? Because it is quite staggering. So I think you'll immediately notice just how much better those masks look compared to the original version, which is why I'm so happy I never got the original version. I'm happy that I ended up with this version. Now, here's a story for you guys. So I actually was going to buy this figure last year at Forbidden Planet, but lo and behold, when I opened it to take a look at the figure, I realized it was the original version. So I was like, well, hold on a minute, shouldn't it be this version? This version is out now. And that's why, if you guys are going to track down this figure, I would highly, highly recommend that you buy it in person. Because what could end up happening is a lot of retailers could just be selling old stock, and you don't want to pay like £40 and then get the old version when you've got this awesome new improved version. So just a little tip there for you guys, you know, try and make sure that you get this one. And if you have the original, well, this one is awesome as well, and I'll show you guys why. So we'll take it out of the box. Easy peasy. So just give me a moment, guys, and I will get all of his accessories out. Okay, so here we have the Part 3 Jason reissue. And yes, I'm going to keep emphasizing that it is the reissue. So taking a look at this figure, I think the first thing that I definitely notice about this is just how fantastic the mask is. If I just show you guys once again the original version, as you can see, I think the most notable thing is the mask. So you look at that and it just kind of looks off. And the original masks were made of a very soft plastic, whereas the reissue updated version is a much more harder plastic, which we'll get onto. So not only have the paint applications on this figure been improved, but just the overall, I suppose the overall sturdiness of the figure has. One thing I have noticed is just, I feel like the newer versions have a bit more weight to them. That could just be me. I don't actually own any of the original versions, but I have actually picked one up and actually seen it, and the legs were floppy, and it had quite a few issues that this figure seems to have done away with. Now, I have noticed a couple of things, like certain paint app differences. So one thing is the skin is a lot lighter than the original one, which I think is accurate. They actually bothered to paint the white shirt, which is cool. I know on the original one they didn't have that. And also something that I really like is on the original, they had this horrible kind of yellow wash over this. I'm not really sure what that was about. Thankfully, they've done away with it, and it's just this very nice kind of bluish grey, but it does still have a slight dirty wash on it. And then you've got the stab wound on his leg. I love all the creases and things in his jacket. It's very, very cool. The level of detail on here. You've got his hunchback, which was something that was exclusive to this design of Jason. I really love the mask. Like, I can't emphasize enough. And I also love the attention to detail with the little scuff on the nose. The chevrons are painted very, very accurately, and also the little silver connect pieces here. It's just an absolute beautiful figure. So, removing the mask and revealing the face, I'm gonna say honestly, fantastic sculpt, but I do think the paint applications could have been better here. I just feel as though it's all it really is a kind of matte black wash that they've given in some areas, and I have to say I'm not a big fan of it. I do think they could have done a better job with the eyes, because it's all really one colour. There's not really too much to differentiate it, but there is some slight pink under the eyes, and the teeth are a slightly different colour. It gets the job done, you know. I mean, the detail in the sculpt is absolutely phenomenal, and you know, that's my one complaint. I think with the Part 4 reissue, which there'll be a review coming for that, they did go a little bit more into the paint. However, if we take a look at his swappable head that he comes with, you can see that this is where the updated paint apps really shine, especially when it comes to the blood, but we'll get onto that in just a moment. So as I said, taking a look at his mask, it's very, very cool. It's rock solid. It's got really nice straps, and it sits on the head no problem. One of my biggest fears with these Jason figures is breaking the straps on the mask, but because of how this head is shaped, it just slips on and off with no problem whatsoever. So let's take a look at his articulation. So you can bring the arms not really out to 90 degrees because it's hindered by the jacket piece. You can do a full 360, but I wouldn't, because as you can see, it is putting some strain on the PVC piece there. You do have a full rotation at the elbows and a 90-degree bend. You have a full rotation at the wrists, and also you can move them backward and forward, up and down, however you like, which is really good. There is a slight ab crunch joint, but it doesn't seem to work very well. There is also a rotation at the waist, but that doesn't seem to work very well, so I'm not going to do it personally because I don't want to break it. The legs you can bring forward reasonably far, but I wouldn't recommend that you do because you might warp the PVC piece here. So, I mean, you're not really going to display Jason in any other way than standing there looking cool. So, he does have swivel at the legs if you want to adjust them slightly. He does have a rough 90-degree bend at the knee, and also a rotation. And lastly, there is a rotation at the foot, so if you want to adjust it slightly, you can. But this figure stands really, really well, just completely effortlessly, and yeah, you know, the articulation isn't quite what it would be at a modern standard figure, because this is actually just... they've basically just reissued the same body that they've used for years now, except they've given the legs articulation. I believe the original release of this figure was more of a staction figure. It only had articulation at the arms. I could be wrong, but I know that they have just been repackaging this guy for more than a decade now. But like I say, the big improvements with this reissue specifically, the joints are a bit tighter and sturdier, and it's the mask. I think that's where this really shines. So we'll take a look at his accessories. So first of all, we have the alternate head with the alternate mask, as you can see. So the big differences are there's a bit more damage. As you can see, the chevron is just missing the tip of the triangle there. There should be more of a scuffing to the nose, but I think it seems to be random at the factory when they do this, but it's not too big of a deal. Aside from that, it's exactly the same, apart from the obvious, which is the enormous axe gash in his head. Now, what's interesting is the blood actually drips down the side So I think that's because when he's lying on the floor, you know, and you think he's dead, the blood would drip this way. But that's very, very cool. And then you have the swappable bloody head, which, of course, as we know, is a dream sequence. Or is it? It's very clever, that scene. And this mask sits on this head very, very well. So a lot of people tend to wonder, can you stick the axe that comes with him in the head? And the answer to that is yes, you can, but it's very, very flimsy. And, you know, sometimes it wants to stay, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully I can get a photo done for the photography at the end, but I wouldn't recommend that you leave it in personally, just because I don't want to damage the mask or the head, but you can achieve it. So to swap the head, I always recommend that you take the masks off first, just to avoid breaking. And this head pops off very, very easily. As you can see, you've got a peg in there. Once again, just take the mask off first. I mean, if you want to recreate that sort of dream sequence scene, this head is perfect, because he doesn't actually wear the mask in that scene. He just kind of looks like this. So that is brilliant. I prefer this head sculpt. I just think there's a lot more going on. In fact, I might actually consider displaying him with this head, to be honest. I love the blood. I know that one thing that they did improve from the original was the blood. In the original, it looked a bit like red paint, a bit like the colour of that, whereas here it's got a much more darker, much more shinier look to it, and it really does look exactly as it does in the film. Now, one thing that I will say about this figure is if you look at the neck is already covered in blood, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, because it was really designed just for this head. So if you put the non-bloody head on, it does kind of look a bit strange, because you just have all this blood here. Now, you could just say, well, he's covered in blood in the shirt anyway from where he's been killing people. But you can tell that this has been painted very specifically for this head, and it looks great. It looks absolutely fantastic. Like I say, this might be how I actually display him. So we'll put the bloody mask on. And yeah, it's very, very cool. I absolutely love this figure. So we'll go over accessories very quickly. We have the trademark pitchfork, which I think is sort of the poster art weapon that he uses for this film. You know, with a Jason display, you don't want every Jason to just be having machetes, so, you know, I think the pitchfork might be the one I go for. The only thing that I'm annoyed about with these Jason figures is he doesn't come with a gripping hand for his left side, which means that when you're trying to hold an accessory where he would have two hands, he kind of just rests it on his palm instead of actually holding it properly. That's my one complaint, but that's a minor gripe at this point. So he comes with the fire poker, which is a very gruesome scene. He comes with this little knife, which does have the blood effect on it. A nice metallic paint with the blood over the top. Very, very cool. Great level of detail for the size. He comes with the wrench, which is very nicely detailed. You've got the metallic bit at the end and the brown handle. He comes with the axe, as I've shown you, which does have a little bit of blood on it. It has a nice kind of gunmetal metallic edge to it. And as you can see, you've just got the bits of blood with the brown handle. Very nice. You have his trademark machete. Of course, every Jason figure has to come with one of those. Very nice and shiny. And you've got the detail on the handle, which is really nice. And lastly, probably the most iconic, it's the harpoon gun. I love that they included this. I love the detail on it. You've got all the detail of the spear, plus the little bits, the elastic bits that shoot it. You've got the trigger here, and this sits very, very well into his hand. In fact, we could actually recreate that scene. Look at that, guys. 3D. So very, very cool. I mean, I don't know if I have anything negative to say about this figure, honestly. I personally am a huge fan of this Jason design. I actually prefer it to the Part 4 version, which might be controversial, but I love the very Quasimodo kind of look to it, and I love the masks that come with this figure. I think they've done a fantastic job. I love the accessories. You guys have got to get this figure. That's all there is to it, really. If you haven't got it already, you haven't added it to your collection, and you're a Friday the 13th fan, or even just a fan of the Jason character in general, I would highly recommend that you get this. Now, if you have the original version, would I recommend getting it? Yes. Yes, because from what I've seen, it's just an improvement in every way, and I honestly don't think you guys will regret it. So we'll wrap up this review now. I know I've been rabbiting on, but hey, I'm passionate, what can I say? So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this figure. Do you like it? Are you planning on adding it to your collection, or do you already have it? So stay safe and happy wherever you guys are in the world. Expect a lot more content coming on my channel very soon, a lot more Jason figures that we have, which is very awesome, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.